Love, a topic that we all have experienced at least once, but do you really understand it? Why are some relationships strong, while others are easily broken? Have you ever loved someone who slowly broke you without even raising their voice? Sometimes, the pain doesn't come from loud arguments or betrayal, it comes from subtle patterns that chip away at your soul. There are certain types of men who don't just leave you heartbroken, they leave you questioning your worth, your sanity, and your ability to trust again. In this video, we're going to uncover 6 types of men who are most likely to bring emotional chaos into your life. And if you recognize one of them, this may be the wake-up call your heart has been waiting for. Welcome to the channel, Sophia's Knowledge, and my name is Sophia. This is where you will find valuable lessons and secrets to help you build a truly lasting love. In today's video, Sophia will explore with you 6 types of men that hurt women the most. Don't miss out on advice that can change the way you perceive and live in love. You will definitely feel more comfortable when you find a quiet place and put on your headphones. Let yourself relax and be ready to receive the positive messages in today's video. Are you ready to embark on this journey with Sophia? Let's get started together. Type number 1. The man who is emotionally unclear. At first glance, he might seem mysterious, intriguing, and hard to figure out. He doesn't say too much, but he says just enough to keep you hanging on. One moment, he showers you with attention, sweet words, and thoughtful gestures. The next moment, he pulls away, becomes distant, and leaves you wondering what you did wrong. This emotional inconsistency is not a coincidence, it's a pattern, and it's deeply damaging. An emotionally unclear man is someone who never truly defines the relationship, yet he never lets it go either. He keeps you in a gray zone, somewhere between more than friends and not quite lovers. He gives you hope, but never commitment. He builds emotional intimacy but avoids real depth. And the longer you stay, the more invested you become, while he remains detached, indecisive, and safe from vulnerability. Women who fall for this kind of man often find themselves trapped in a cycle of confusion. One day, he texts you sweet messages and says he misses you. The next, he ghosts you for days. When you confront him about it, he says, "I'm just not ready for something serious," or "let's not put labels on things." He avoids definitions, dodges difficult conversations, and plays the victim when you express your emotional needs. The problem is, emotional ambiguity creates emotional dependency. When someone gives you just enough love to keep you hoping, but not enough to feel secure, it activates a constant state of longing and chasing. You start overanalyzing every word, every emoji, every silence. You lose your peace of mind. You stop focusing on your own needs, and instead, you focus entirely on decoding his behavior. Emotionally unclear men are not always bad people. In many cases, they are simply emotionally immature, afraid of commitment, or carrying unresolved trauma from their past. But the result is the same. You are left feeling inadequate, questioning your worth, and living in emotional limbo. You put your life on hold, waiting for clarity that never comes. What makes this type of man especially harmful is the illusion of potential. He might not be treating you right today, but he gives you enough signs that one day, he might. You tell yourself, maybe if I love him more, he'll change, or he's just afraid, he needs time. This hope becomes a trap. It makes you tolerate emotional neglect, justify inconsistency, and stay longer than you should. The truth is, when a man truly wants you in his life, he makes it known. He does not leave you guessing. He may be imperfect, but he will show up. He will be consistent, honest, and clear about his intentions. You won't have to fight for a place in his heart, he will offer it willingly. Being with someone who is emotionally unclear is like walking through fog. You can see a little ahead, but never far enough. You take cautious steps, hoping for a breakthrough. But the fog never lifts. And eventually, you realize you are lost, not because you made a wrong turn, but because you followed someone who never had a clear path to begin with. It's not your job to heal him, fix him, or convince him to choose you. Your only responsibility is to protect your heart and recognize when you're not being treated with clarity and respect. A relationship should not feel like a riddle you have to solve. It should feel like a safe place to land, not a battlefield of mixed signals. Walking away from someone who confuses you may feel painful at first, especially if you've built dreams around him. But clarity will always bring peace. You deserve someone who chooses you boldly, not someone who keeps you as an option. You deserve answers, not endless questions. And most of all, you deserve love that is certain, not love that is always almost. In the end, a man who is emotionally unclear teaches you one of the most powerful lessons in love. When someone makes you feel unsure, the answer is already clear. If he cannot decide whether he wants you in his life, then you have every right to decide not to wait around for him to figure it out. You are not asking for too much by wanting clarity. You are not being dramatic by needing emotional security. You are simply honoring your heart, your time, and your worth. Everyone has a different perspective, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Leave a comment below and let's discuss. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to join me in the next videos. Let's continue together. Type number 2. The controlling and jealous man. At the beginning, his intense attention might seem flattering. He wants to know where you are, who you're with, and what you're doing. He says it's because he cares. He tells you he worries about you, that he just wants to protect you. At first, it feels like love. It feels like you're being cherished. But slowly, the line between care and control begins to blur. The controlling and jealous man does not show his true colors all at once. He starts by making small requests. Maybe you shouldn't talk to that guy. I don't like that outfit, it's too revealing. Why didn't you answer my call right away? These statements might come off as concern, but over time, they form a pattern of control. He's not just expressing an opinion, he's subtly restricting your freedom. This man uses jealousy as a disguise for love. He says, I only get jealous because I love you so much. But in reality, his jealousy is rooted in insecurity, fear, and a need for dominance. He doesn't trust you, not because of anything you've done, but because he does not feel secure in himself. Instead of working on his own self-esteem, he tries to regulate your behavior to feel safe. One of the most dangerous aspects of this dynamic is that it often escalates slowly. You begin to change parts of yourself to avoid conflict. You stop going out with certain friends. You adjust your clothing to avoid arguments. You feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, trying to predict what might set him off. Your world gets smaller and smaller, until one day, you realize you're not living your life, you're living his version of it. This kind of man creates a prison with invisible bars. You may not even realize you're trapped because you still have the illusion of choice. But the emotional manipulation runs deep. He makes you feel guilty for wanting independence. He acts hurt when you assert your boundaries. He turns every disagreement into your fault, making you question your own judgment. The controlling man often isolates you from the people who care about you most. He might criticize your friends, plant seeds of doubt about your family, or act like no one understands you except him. The goal is to make you emotionally dependent on him, so that even when you're unhappy, you feel like you have no one else to turn to. His jealousy doesn't end with people. He might be jealous of your job, your hobbies, or anything that brings you joy outside of him. Instead of supporting your growth, he sees it as a threat. He wants to be the center of your world, not a part of it. And if he feels like he's losing control, he might lash out, emotionally, verbally, or even physically. Many women stay with controlling and jealous men because they believe it's love. Society often romanticizes jealousy, portraying it as passion or devotion. But jealousy that demands control is not love, it is fear dressed as desire. Love does not restrict. Love does not threaten. Love does not demand that you shrink to make someone else feel big. It's important to remember that controlling behavior is not always loud or aggressive. Sometimes, it's quiet and manipulative. It hides behind sweet words and apologetic gestures. One moment he's yelling, the next he's crying and saying he can't live without you. This emotional roller coaster is designed to keep you hooked, always trying to win back the calm after the storm. But you are not responsible for managing his emotions. You are not a rehabilitation center for broken men. You are a human being, with your own dreams, needs, and voice. You deserve a relationship where you are free to be fully yourself, without fear, guilt, or compromise of your identity. Walking away from a controlling man is not easy. He may beg, plead, and promise to change. But unless he's willing to do deep inner work, and most are not, his pattern will repeat. And every time you stay, it becomes harder to leave. Your self-worth gets chipped away, one small compromise at a time. If you recognize yourself in these words, know this: you are not overreacting. You are not too sensitive. You are seeing clearly what others may not see. Your instincts are speaking to you, and they are asking you to reclaim your power. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to want space. You are allowed to have friendships, passions, and boundaries. Real love supports these things. Real love wants you to shine, not shrink. In the end, a controlling and jealous man will never feel secure, no matter how much you reassure him. Because the problem is not with you. It's with his need to possess rather than connect. You cannot love someone into being whole. But you can love yourself enough to walk away. If you are still watching the video, do not hesitate to comment continue. Leave your thoughts and questions below in the comment section. I look forward to hearing your opinions, and do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that Sophia has more motivation to create more good and meaningful videos. Let's continue together. Type number 3. The self-centered man. At first, he seems confident, charismatic, and full of life. He knows what he wants, and he knows how to get it. He speaks with conviction, carries himself with pride, and knows exactly how to impress. But as time passes, you begin to notice a disturbing truth: everything revolves around him. The self-centered man lives in a world where his needs, emotions, and goals come first, always. In the beginning, you might confuse this with leadership or ambition. But soon, it becomes clear that his concern for others is conditional, shallow, and often performative. He expects attention, admiration, and loyalty, yet rarely gives the same in return. In a relationship with a self-centered man, you often find yourself becoming a supporting character in the story of his life. Your achievements are downplayed. Your emotions are dismissed. Your needs are inconvenient. He listens only when it benefits him or when your feelings threaten his comfort. You are allowed to speak, but only if it does not interrupt his narrative. He is not necessarily cruel, but he is careless. Not because he wants to hurt you, but because he is simply not thinking about you. Everything is filtered through the lens of me, myself, and I. If you cry, it becomes a burden. If you succeed, he feels overshadowed. If you ask for more, you are demanding. There is no room in his world for a partner who wants to be seen as equal. This kind of man might be generous on the surface. He might buy you gifts or take you on trips. But even these gestures are more about how they make him look than how they make you feel. He wants others to see him as a great boyfriend, a successful man, a desirable partner. The truth is, his love is performative, not personal. What makes this dynamic especially exhausting is that you keep hoping for him to notice you, not just your body, not just your presence, but your soul. You want to be heard, supported, and prioritized. But every time you reach out emotionally, you are met with a wall of indifference or deflection. He changes the subject, makes it about him, or simply walks away. Self-centered men struggle deeply with empathy. They may mimic it when needed, but they do not feel it in the way that emotionally healthy people do. When you express pain, they view it as drama. When you need comfort, they feel inconvenienced. And when you ask for compromise, they believe you are attacking their freedom. Over time, being with a self-centered man begins to chip away at your self-worth. You start to believe your feelings are too much. You hesitate to express your needs. You find yourself constantly validating him while receiving nothing in return. It becomes a one-way street, one where you are expected to give endlessly, and he is expected to receive. What's worse is that these men often position themselves as victims when confronted. If you challenge his behavior, he accuses you of being selfish. If you ask for change, he says you're trying to control him. He flips the script so well that you begin to doubt your own experience. This emotional manipulation keeps you stuck in a cycle of guilt and confusion. A self-centered man cannot build a healthy partnership because he does not truly see the other person as an equal. He sees you as an extension of himself, someone who exists to reflect his greatness, meet his needs, and never disrupt his comfort. Anytime you show independence or voice your truth, he sees it as a threat rather than an invitation to grow. Leaving a self-centered man can be difficult, not because of what he gives you, but because of what you keep hoping he will become. You hold on to the rare moments of sweetness, the charm, the potential. But potential is not reality. A man who constantly chooses himself over you is telling you everything you need to know. You deserve to be loved in a way that includes you. Not just your presence, but your emotions, your mind, your voice. You deserve a partner who listens, supports, and lifts you up, not one who needs to be the sun while you revolve around him like a silent moon. The tragedy of loving a self-centered man is not that he does not love you at all. It's that he only knows how to love in ways that serve himself. And love, in its truest form, requires selflessness, presence, and mutual care. Without these, what you are experiencing is not love, it's a performance. In the end, walking away is not about giving up. It's about choosing yourself in a space where you have been forgotten. It's about reclaiming your worth in a relationship that constantly asks you to dim your light so he can shine. And most of all, it's about remembering that real love is not self-centered. It is shared, balanced, and whole. Type number 4. The man who is easily unfaithful and disloyal. He's charming. He knows exactly what to say and when to say it. He makes you feel like the most beautiful woman in the room, until he does the same with someone else. His attention is addictive but fleeting. His love burns bright but never stays lit for long. This is the man who is easily unfaithful and dangerously disloyal. In the beginning, it may feel like a whirlwind romance. He is intense, passionate, and emotionally available, or so it seems. He gives you compliments, grand gestures, and late-night confessions. You feel chosen, special, even irreplaceable. But what you don't know yet is that he's given these same gifts to others before you, and he will give them to others after you. The man who is prone to disloyalty often lacks emotional depth. He confuses attraction with connection, lust with love, and novelty with happiness. He chases the high of infatuation, and once the excitement fades, so does his loyalty. He lives in pursuit of stimulation, and when reality becomes too stable, too normal, or too emotionally demanding, he starts looking elsewhere. One of the most painful traits of this man is his ability to lie with ease. He knows how to say all the right things to keep you in place while he explores other options. He may assure you of his faithfulness while secretly texting someone else. He might swear he's committed while making plans with another woman behind your back. He tells you you're his world, but his actions tell a different story. Being with an unfaithful man is an emotional roller coaster. You live between highs and lows, between believing in his words and doubting your instincts. You start to question yourself, am I imagining things? Am I being insecure? But deep down, your intuition knows the truth. It recognizes the emotional distance, the late-night phone secrecy, the sudden changes in behavior. This type of man is not loyal to people, he is loyal to his impulses. His behavior is often driven by desire rather than values. He does not consider the damage he causes, because in his mind, what he wants in the moment always outweighs what he's committed to. He may even justify his betrayal by blaming you, you were too busy, you didn't appreciate me, or I didn't feel wanted. These are not reasons, they are excuses for emotional immaturity. The emotional pain of being cheated on goes far beyond betrayal. It breaks your sense of self. It makes you question your worth, your beauty, your value. You replay every moment, wondering what you missed. You compare yourself to the other woman. You wonder if you weren't enough. But let one truth be clear, you are not the problem. His disloyalty is not a reflection of your shortcomings. It is a reflection of his lack of integrity. Men who are easily unfaithful rarely change without doing deep, uncomfortable inner work. Many of them don't even see their behavior as wrong. They normalize their actions by surrounding themselves with others who do the same. They minimize the damage, claiming it was just a mistake, or that it didn't mean anything. But if it hurt you, it meant something. If it broke your trust, it was not just a mistake, it was a choice. Loyalty is not just about physical fidelity. It's about emotional consistency, trustworthiness, and honor. A man who truly loves you protects your heart even when you're not looking. He thinks of you before making a decision that could hurt you. He values the bond you've built more than a moment of temptation. That is what loyalty looks like, not perfection, but deep, conscious respect. The heartbreak of loving a disloyal man is that you often want to forgive him, because your love is real. You remember the good times. You believe in his potential. You think that maybe, if you love him enough, he'll finally stop. But patterns speak louder than promises. If he betrays you once, and shows no real remorse or growth, it will likely happen again. And the second time will hurt even more. It takes great strength to walk away from someone you love. But it takes even more strength to stay and constantly wonder if you're being lied to again. That slow erosion of trust, peace, and self-worth is far more damaging than a broken heart. Sometimes, walking away is not about giving up, it's about refusing to participate in your own destruction. You deserve someone who chooses you every single day. Not just when it's easy. Not just when you're right in front of him. But even when you're not there to see. Loyalty is not about being watched. It's about being the same person in the dark as you are in the light. The man who is easily unfaithful does not need more chances. He needs healing. He needs accountability. He needs to lose what he does not value, so that he may one day understand the weight of what he broke. And you, on the other hand, need space to rebuild. To remember who you were before he made you question yourself. You are not someone to be temporarily adored and permanently forgotten. You are not a backup plan or a placeholder. You are worthy of real, consistent, and faithful love. Do not settle for someone who only knows how to love when it's convenient. In the end, love without loyalty is just a performance. And no matter how captivating the show, it always ends in silence. You deserve more than a love that wanders. You deserve a love that stays. Type number 5. The man who always plays the victim. He is the kind of man who always has a story, one filled with pain, betrayal, and unjust treatment. He speaks of his past with wounded eyes and an air of sadness that draws you in. At first, you feel empathy. You want to be the one who heals him, the one who shows him not all love ends in disaster. But slowly, you begin to realize something deeply unsettling. In every story he tells, he is the victim, and everyone else is to blame. The man who always plays the victim carries an invisible shield made of excuses, deflection, and emotional manipulation. He is never wrong. He never takes responsibility. Every failed relationship, every career setback, every personal mistake is someone else's fault. His ex was crazy, his boss was jealous, his parents were too hard on him. You become just another character in his tragedy, not a partner, but a caretaker. At first, this role feels meaningful. He opens up to you. He trusts you with his pain. You feel special, needed, even heroic. But soon, you notice a pattern. When you express your own needs or concerns, he shifts the focus back to himself. If you bring up something he did that hurt you, he responds with how he felt hurt instead. Suddenly, your feelings become secondary. His pain always takes center stage. This man has mastered the art of emotional inversion. If you cry, he cries louder. If you feel neglected, he claims you're being ungrateful. If you set a boundary, he says you're abandoning him like everyone else. He does not want to understand your pain. He wants you to understand, and prioritize, his. Being with someone who constantly plays the victim is emotionally draining. You begin to walk on eggshells, avoiding any comment that might trigger another spiral. You start suppressing your feelings to keep the peace. You feel guilty for being upset. Over time, you become the one doing all the emotional labor while he remains emotionally stagnant. The danger with this type of man is subtle but significant. He rarely yells or controls in obvious ways. Instead, he manipulates with pity. He weaponizes his wounds to justify his behavior. He paints himself as fragile, which makes you feel like the villain if you ever stand up for yourself. His sadness becomes a tool, not for healing, but for controlling the emotional narrative. What he truly seeks is not a partner but an emotional crutch. He wants someone who will absorb his pain, validate his excuses, and never challenge his version of reality. Any attempt you make to hold him accountable is met with resistance, blame shifting, or emotional withdrawal. He may not abandon you physically, but he punishes you with silence, guilt, and victimhood until you surrender your truth. This kind of relationship becomes a one-sided emotional contract. You give support, empathy, and understanding. In return, you receive emotional instability and blame. He drains your strength while claiming you're his savior. You feel trapped, not by violence, but by emotional responsibility that was never yours to carry. The hardest part is the self-doubt. He's not obviously cruel. He doesn't scream or insult. He just makes you feel like you're always doing something wrong. And because you're compassionate, you keep trying. You keep listening, giving, fixing. But the more you give, the more he takes. And he never gives back. Eventually, you begin to feel like a ghost in your own life. Your needs disappear. Your voice fades. You forget who you were before you became his emotional caretaker. You stay out of fear that if you leave, he will crumble. But the truth is, his healing was never your responsibility to begin with. People who constantly play the victim rarely grow because they refuse to face themselves. They are addicted to the attention and sympathy that victimhood brings. Taking responsibility would require them to feel uncomfortable, to confront their own flaws, to do the work of change. Instead, they remain stuck, and they keep everyone around them stuck too. Leaving a man who plays the victim is not cruel. It's courageous. It means you've chosen truth over guilt. It means you've recognized the manipulation behind the sadness. It means you've chosen to protect your peace instead of constantly fixing what he refuses to repair within himself. You deserve a partner who takes ownership of his life. Someone who can say, "I was wrong." Someone who can apologize without making it about himself. Someone who can listen to your pain without drowning you in his own. Emotional maturity is not about never being hurt, it's about how you deal with that hurt. A man who only ever feels like a victim is not ready for love. He is only ready to be saved, and that is not your job. In the end, love is not about rescuing someone. It's about growing together. It's about mutual understanding, accountability, and shared strength. If a man refuses to stand on his own emotional feet, he will always need you to carry him. And eventually, that weight becomes too heavy to bear. You are not his therapist. You are not his parent. You are not responsible for healing wounds he won't even admit are his. You are allowed to step back. You are allowed to stop playing the role he cast you in. And you are allowed to choose a relationship where both people are capable of being whole. Type number 6. The man with no life direction or purpose. He may be kind. He may be affectionate. He may even say all the right things. But beneath the surface, there is a void, a lack of direction, ambition, and drive. This is the man who floats through life without a clear sense of purpose. And while he might seem harmless at first, being in a relationship with someone who has no goals can slowly erode your spirit, your dreams, and your future. In the early stages, his laid-back nature might be refreshing. He's easygoing, unbothered, and not obsessed with chasing success like others. You tell yourself that he's just taking life at his own pace. But as time goes on, you begin to notice the difference between peaceful and passive. This man is not just relaxed, he's stuck. A man without a purpose lacks more than motivation. He lacks vision. He wakes up without intention, drifts through his days, and avoids long-term planning. He may have a job, but not a career. He may have interests, but no passion. He may talk about doing something someday, but never takes the first step. Every time you ask about the future, his goals, his plans, his dreams, he either avoids the question or gives vague, non-committal answers. What makes this dynamic dangerous is that it often leads to emotional and mental stagnation, not just for him, but for you as well. A relationship thrives on shared growth. When one person stops moving forward, the entire connection begins to wither. You try to inspire him, encourage him, even push him. But every effort feels like dragging dead weight. His lack of direction starts to weigh heavily on your heart. You begin to feel lonely, not because he's physically absent, but because he's emotionally idle. You're building a future in your mind while he's still living in the moment, without any real investment. You plan. He postpones. You dream. He shrugs. Over time, the gap between you becomes not just about ambition, but about alignment. You're no longer walking side by side. You're walking ahead, and turning back too often to see if he's catching up. The man with no direction often disguises his stagnation behind excuses. He says he's still figuring things out. He claims he doesn't want to rush. He may even criticize people who work hard as being too obsessed with success. But underneath those words is a deep fear, fear of failure, fear of pressure, and fear of responsibility. And rather than face those fears, he chooses comfort. He chooses routine. He chooses to remain where it's safe. Being with a man who lacks purpose can feel like carrying the future alone. You're the one who manages the plans, the finances, the logistics, the hopes. He becomes more of a dependent than a partner. He leans on your strength, your motivation, your clarity. And while he may not intend to hurt you, his passivity sends a clear message. You're the only one building the life you both claim to want. There is nothing wrong with going through a season of uncertainty. Everyone has moments of pause, of reflection, of transition. But the difference lies in what a person does during that time. A man who is genuinely lost still seeks. He reads. He learns. He takes small steps forward. A man who has no direction and no desire to find it is not simply lost, he is content being adrift. And that contentment will eventually drain you. You will find yourself carrying conversations, solving problems, and making sacrifices for someone who isn't willing to invest in his own growth. You will question your standards. You will suppress your own ambitions. You will start to believe that maybe you're asking for too much when all you want is a partner with vision. But let one thing be clear, you are not wrong for wanting a man with purpose. You are not shallow for wanting someone who wakes up with a mission. You are not demanding for wanting to build a life that goes somewhere. Purpose is not just about career or money. It's about clarity, focus, and direction. A man with purpose knows what he values, what he's working toward, and who he wants to become. That energy is powerful. It gives the relationship momentum. It inspires mutual respect. It keeps love from becoming stagnant. A man without purpose, on the other hand, will keep you in limbo. He will say the right words but take no action. He will promise change but never follow through. He will hold your hand while you walk forward, and pull you backward when you get too far ahead. And if you're not careful, you'll spend years trying to ignite a fire in someone who refuses to strike the match. Walking away from a man with no direction is not about arrogance. It's about alignment. It's about recognizing that love alone is not enough when one person refuses to grow. It's about honoring your future and refusing to be anchored to someone who chooses to stand still. You deserve a man who knows where he's going, even if he's not there yet. A man who is actively becoming. A man who is driven not by pressure, but by purpose. Because when two people with direction walk together, they don't just love, they build, evolve, and rise. In the end, love without growth becomes a trap. And no matter how strong your feelings are, you cannot thrive in a space where the future is always someday. You deserve more than words. You deserve a vision. You deserve a man who moves, not just toward you, but toward something greater. Conclusion. Loving someone should never come at the cost of losing yourself. Yet too often, women fall into relationships with men who bring more confusion than clarity, more pain than peace. The 6 types of men we've explored, the emotionally unclear, the controlling and jealous, the self-centered, the unfaithful, the perpetual victim, and the purposeless, share one common trait: they drain more than they give. These relationships don't just leave emotional scars, they distort your sense of self-worth. They make you question your instincts, silence your voice, and suppress your dreams. But the truth is, none of these men are worth that sacrifice. You are not here to fix, rescue, or carry someone who refuses to grow. You are here to live, to love deeply, and to be met with the same depth in return. Real love does not confuse, control, or diminish. It clarifies. It respects. It elevates. And you deserve nothing less. The most powerful decision a woman can make is to walk away from what harms her, even when her heart still lingers. Because walking away is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is self-respect. It is choosing peace over chaos, and truth over fantasy. You are not asking for too much. You're simply refusing to accept too little. So take this knowledge, not with bitterness, but with clarity. Let it guide you to something better. To someone better. And most of all, to a stronger version of you, the woman who no longer tolerates the kind of love that breaks her. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. I hope you found some useful lessons about love and relationships. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. I appreciate your support and will continue to bring valuable content in future videos. Please continue to join me on my journey to learn about love and relationships. See you soon, and I wish you happiness.